he's saying that joy will amplify when there's a sense of healing me will expand into healing us. Trauma doesn't sit over there and doesn't sit also as a to-do list. It's simply the mud of every moment, and it's the fertile soil out of which this potential and all these possibilities emerge. Hello everyone, welcome to Soul Weather, your mid-month energy check-in. I'm Dany Lyne. I'm an intuitive, and for the last 20 years, I've been co-creating wellness and aligned manifestation with folks worldwide, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. In this series, I'm going to tap us into the main energy through line so that we can alchemize the expansions and the contractions of the life force into our sacred flow. Join my YouTube channel to get your mid-month energy check-in. Welcome to Soul Weather. Welcome to all of you who are joining me live. Thank you for co-creating the energy circle. Without you, I can't do a transmission. It's not something I can do alone. So your energy and your presence is key for this moment to occur, and so I greatly appreciate it. It's been a lot, the energy's changed a lot in just the last few days. As you know, we are moving toward solstice. We're moving toward that transition between the metal element and the water element. And I'll speak and channel specifically to that effect when we film the next free-for-all, which is really on the full moon next weekend and is the solstice transmission as well. But nonetheless, it does apply to this moment that the energy and the elemental influencer is already water. We've shifted into water early this year. And so if you've been feeling a big transition, it's because we're already in the solstice season, essentially. And this morning, it's going to be Swami Sri Yukteswar who's with us and to support us at this very particular transition. As you know, the other soul weathers have been guided mainly by Babaji. And so I had assumed it would be him, but no, it's Sri Yukteswar who's taking this one. And maybe Babaji will show up, but we'll just see. So I'll just move into the space I need to be in to start the transmission. So give me a sec. Sri Yukteswar is honoring that Babaji essentially in the context of Soul Weather, spoke of this fall of this particular few months as the personal growth Olympics. There's been a lot on a very deep level that's been shifting, opening up. It's been a time of transition. And when we think of Babaji, his nickname is lightning standing still. So if you have felt a kind of lightning standing still deep inside your being, bringing dramatic light and insights and a deep level of awareness into all the different aspects of your life, whether it's personal, professional, familial, at whatever level. Sri Yukteswar is saying that yes, in the language of traditional Chinese medicine, we are moving toward the water and a very yin water expression right now. And he says that aligns with what he's here to say in the sense that he's saying it's really time after all that personal growth, after all of those somersaults, internal somersaults that you might have experienced, that he's coming in, and he's the one coming in today because he says now's the time to be a pillar of strength and to be a pillar in the central axis of your being who assesses what all went on this fall and everything that you have the opportunity to learn and integrate. So he says the personal growth Olympics start by some tumultuous changes, for some people more tumultuous than others, some external pressures or breakthroughs, right? That sense of new information, new broadened sense of self, new broadened sense of a spiritual context, a different understanding of the world, a kind of shift in your cosmology. All that can be wonderful, and it's wonderful either way. It's just more or less spicy depending on where you're at. But Sri Yukteswar is saying, okay, so we've done all of this, pulsating in and out in a powerful way deep inside our beings. And he's saying, now's the time to sit really calmly and very calmly assess what you've learned. So there is some level of accountability, because some situations, it might be that we have to sit in the sense of, okay, so it wasn't just happening to me, I was there. So we might be meeting a situation where we're sitting in a place of clarity and accountability. And he's saying that regardless, the point of all of these calisthenics, and almost like he's showing me like you've been like dough and the energy's been kneading that dough. He said now the whole point is to let that dough rest before it rises, and to allow for a level of integration, so that it's not that you've learned something in your personal life and you think your professional life is just okay and it's going on over there. He's saying the reason we need to stand still and really, it's like he's showing me like a kind of shopping list of what you've learned, because guaranteed what you've learned will influence every aspect of your life and will also influence and shift some of the perceptions of what you think is personal growth versus professional growth. There's only one of you. All of you has grown. All of you has gained insight. And so all of it is up for grabs. All of it is up for examination and assessment. So this is the time to really, he says, it's a time to shift where priorities might shift. Because if you've learned that much, for sure, you're not coming at your life from the same angle. And therefore, certain things are more important, certain things are less important, and certain things will fall away. So he is speaking of a gathering, and a gathering of possibilities, a gathering of potential. And a letting go of excess luggage. To acknowledge what is actually luggage and what you're dragging around that doesn't serve you anymore. So he's saying that really a lot of this clarity is going to be in your heart versus your head. So he's very much talking about that level and new level of understanding at a heart, in your heart space, what life is about and what your life is about at this moment. And he's saying that a lot of the learning is at such a deep level that he's hoping that at some point in this time, in the last few months, you realized one of the most important things is joy. So he's really talking about what is bringing you joy, what cultivates your joy, and how do you align in life so that joy can express. He says that joy fundamentally comes from an orderly heart. The more your heart is orderly, the more ease you will feel, more inner peace you will feel, and the more joy will manifest and flow. So he's saying if we're going to talk about water, let's talk about joy in that fluid, unctuous presence that moves through and around absolutely everything in your day. So he's saying when we're saying bring everything together, it's not just personal and professional, but it's also during a day. There's only one you moving through the day, and there isn't a time where you're going to be checking out. And this is reminding me a lot about what Babaji was saying a couple of soul weathers ago. It's how is it that you can embrace absolutely every moment in the day from this perspective of an orderly heart, of your priorities being in order, of your sense of presence being gentle and open and fully aware. So whether driving your car, whether arriving at the destination, etc., etc. So he's really talking here that there's an opportunity right now with everything we've learned and all those internal somersaults of the last few months, that really what we have within reach is easeful living, easeful and joyful living. It's a time where there's a deeper awareness of community and what that means to each one of us, what our engagement is with community, with world community as well, all the different levels of community. And he's coming into that in this moment that we could almost call a pause of assessment. We're aligning with the possibilities and the potential in your heart and each of our hearts. And we're allowing us to really, with conscious awareness, transfer that information and that learning into the manifestation that's coming up. In the Energy Collective last week, I was channeling Yogananda and also Babaji. They all came in, but there was a sense of, in our hearts, we have an egg of possibilities. So there's very much in what I'm hearing right now, also that sense that all this learning and these calisthenics of the last few months, we are pregnant. There is that sense of what's possible in your heart. And he's saying this is the time to really assess how you're engaging in the world at every level and how you're implementing that sense of kindness and support that you'd like to offer, not just to the people that are close to you and your family, but also in a broader sense, from friends, community, and all the various circles of community. Because he's saying really all the learning that you've done is all for the greater purpose of stepping into active potential in terms of participating in the healing of the world at whatever level you're engaged in. So Sri Yukteswar is saying basically it's that thing of right now you have gained a lot of information in the last few months about, in a sense, what it means to be a good person, whatever we attach to that sense, right? Whether accountability, responsibility, kindness, compassion, etc. But he's saying now it's like there's a way in which you can manifest that energy actively in the world so that you are helping yourself and you're helping others. And the point is, how are you going to be doing that? And he's saying you have a few months now in this water season. You have a few months to mature that and refine that so that by the time the energy of the spring comes in, you have a really clear signal of what it means to you at this time to put your foot on the gas. And he's saying not just put your foot on the gas in the sense of what we've misinterpreted in various cultures around the world, that's all based on status and accumulation and power over dynamics and whatnot. He's talking about the foot on the gas for the right reasons and taking into account the well-being of all beings on the planet. We're all needed. That energy of potential inside your heart is very needed in the world and is welcome in the world in the next few months. There's an opening. The way he's showing it to me is that all these eggs will come to fruition and there's space in the world for the expression of those possibilities that are your unique possibilities that are sitting in your heart. So he's saying that joy will amplify when there's a sense of healing me will expand into healing us. And what does that mean to sit in that position every day of healing us? So just allowing right now energetically all that work that you've done, whatever therapy you've done, all that integration of childhood trauma, adolescence, early adulthood, whatever age you're at right now, think of all that work. He's saying this is all energy of potential sitting in your heart. Don't think of that as that trauma thing and that bag of trauma that you think you've been lugging around. When you've done that much work over the years, that has all transformed. And that energy is sitting in its transformed state in your heart. And that's what the potential is. All that mud, right, is the source of the lotus. The energy of trauma doesn't sit over there and doesn't sit also as a to-do list. It's simply the mud of every moment, and it's the fertile soil out of which this potential and all these possibilities emerge. So he's saying that whole trauma thing is much more malleable than you think, and is so rich in content in terms of look at everything you've learned in your processing and integrating and healing and transcending these events. He's saying right now, it's like that is what being rich is about. Is you're rich in experience, you're rich in wisdom, and you're rich in potential. None of that is your weakness. None of that stuff is a liability. None of it. So he's saying right now, just in the next month, he's saying that all that stuff it's really about checking what stories you have. And any story that paints a picture of liability based on the past or based on challenges in your present moment, that's the thing we're really encouraging you to examine, because those stories are not accurate. A lot of what you think are your liabilities is your fertile soil, is the mud from where that lotus will emerge. And he says the mud has been distributed fairly. The mud, we all have the fertile mud that we need to come into our greater sense of self and greater sense of wisdom and our capacity for implementing that wisdom and living the wisdom. And it's interesting, it really also reminds me of a couple of other transmissions recently. He's talking this whole idea of in the future, I will do. He says right now, it's really, right, we're looking at the past as fertile soil now, and we're looking at the future as potential and possibility now. Let all that snap together in one timeline of the now, of this beautiful moment with this beautiful energy that is really supporting us for expansive growth and for expansive manifestation, not at the ego level, not at the climbing status level, not at the competitive level, not at all that stuff, but simply saying there is space in the world for your love. There's space in the world for whatever lives in your heart. And it's important and it's needed. He's saying that every one of us are an essential part of the ecology of this planet. We are all fully integrated into the web of life. We are part of it. And therefore, that seed in your heart, those seeds in your heart are part of the ecology, just like a tree with its fruit and its seeds. So allowing any of the narratives that separate you from that separate you in a sense from life itself, from your life-giving potential, allowing all of that right now to soften and melt or crack and break or explode in a million pieces, however gentle you would like it to be, however potent and cathartic you are ready for or is what you need, let it happen, let it come. Your heart exists in the world as a sack of seeds. And the point is that you're getting right now is we need to acknowledge those seeds and then really understand what we're sowing with those seeds. And he's saying there are choices to be made. Right? Something is more important to manifest now versus another thing. And some things, he says, will fall away, especially old priorities that come from a distorted understanding of the world and what progress means and what, quote unquote, success means. So he's really saying in this water season to really be with that fluidity of easeful expression of life-giving energies, of life-supporting energies, of energies that support, of energies that create, and energies that honor your possibilities and always honor other people's and other beings' possibilities. So it's allowing you, right, in all of this moment of reassessment, he's saying it's you're positioning yourself in the ecology of the planet, of all the living beings, and how you're participating in that ecology with all this baggage. And whether it's about money, whether it's about status or tenure, whether it's about whatever you think success is, acknowledgement is, status is, right? At whatever level, however you define that personally and professionally. Whether you have a family or not, that's not the point. You're a living being with all other living beings, and therefore we are all family in that sense. We are all part of that one large, beautiful tribe on this planet. And so how do we settle into that celebration of self aligned with all these beautiful beings with potential, participation, and easeful enthusiasm? So it's wherever you're at in life, whatever it is, really acknowledge right now the potential of birthing that's occurring, the potential of transformation, whether it's gentle or cathartic, however it's happening for you. Do sit in that and really allow yourself to be inspired by the right podcasts and by the right people, that people that are life affirming, and let yourself come into whatever additional information you need, whatever additional inspiration you need, and to, at the same time, allow for a level of deconstruction to occur in terms of what you think manifesting means and what you think manifesting means in the world. And he's saying a lot of our manifestation, right, and our concept of manifestation has been to be better than others, or in some way competitive, in some way self-aggrandizing. And he's saying in an ecology, everyone is growing. In a healthy ecology, every aspect of the planet is doing well. In this time, it's a time of really understanding how we sit in that circle and how we engage with this beautiful, life-affirming wheel of life. And he says to come back to the beginning, your greatest clue will be the amount of joy that comes in when you sit in that circle. Your sense of reward will grow into something different than what you've been taught. Your sense of self-worth will shift. Your evaluation system of yourself and of your activities will shift, and your engagement in the world will shift. So rather than imploding with all this potential, he's really talking about an expansive expression of this potential, which is really life itself, expressing and sowing the seeds of your heart in the world. And he's showing me that the more we meet that in ourselves, this very particular moment, the more we're going to be in exactly the right place in the spring to share and collaborate with other people and help everybody's garden grow. You're not just going to be supporting your garden. You're going to be taking care of your garden, but in the way you're doing it, if you're allowing your cosmology to change and be part of the circle, you're going to be helping other people grow their gardens as well. So that he's saying, really, the image is that of gardens of hope. That each one of us right now are setting up our own personal gardens of hope. But he's saying that as we expand into the spring, those gardens and that gardening is something that is going to interweave in a life-affirming way with all beings around you, in all the levels of community, but also community which includes plants and animals and rocks and rivers and mountains and what have you. And he's saying too that for those of you who have children, that it's important to understand that at 8 years old, a child can plant their own garden, right? You're not planting it for them, you're supporting them to plant that garden. So he's saying this whole business in terms of allowing the next generations to plant their own gardens and acknowledge their garden and participate in that life-giving process and allowing their garden of hope to come from a sense of their own sovereignty and their own sense of awareness of the seeds in their heart. He says in general that can start way younger than what we think. And also, he's talking to me about also generationally. So he says this whole thing that's been happening in our contemporary world of the middle generation being the productive generation, supporting the children and in a way, right, supporting or feeling encumbered by the older generation. He said all of that. He says everybody at every age is sowing a garden of hope. And every one of these gardens at every age is participating in the overall tapestry of this beautiful ecology towards which we are moving. And he's saying that it's not just ageism that's being thrown out of the picture here, it's also ableism, etc. So it's allowing all living beings at wherever they're at, and that includes a tree versus a child in a wheelchair versus whatever, right? That all those hearts are full of seeds and all participate and have as much potential in their hearts. There's no grading of potential based on any of the crazy categories we've created in our contemporary culture and what we think of as worthy and unworthy. So he's saying that on the planet, a lot of the, in a way, what we consider impoverishment, it actually comes from our lack of acknowledgement of seeds and potential in absolutely every heart. If we actually acknowledge the seeds in absolutely every heart of every being, which will include the animals and the plants and the planet itself, if we acknowledge and value those seeds that are there in absolutely every living being, the world will not be operating on this misconception of scarcity. No one in that sense is poor, and no one in that sense is rich or richer. That potential exists everywhere and is just as potent and valuable. And in a way, I'm thinking of Jack and the Beanstalk and the magical seeds. He's saying all the seeds in everyone's heart are magical and will grow a magical beanstalk. So imagine if we take out all these judgments, all these assumptions, all these categories, all of these evaluations. We're sitting on a gold mine of magical seeds. So as you acknowledge your seeds in your heart, as you acknowledge that potential and the possibilities, witness the potential and possibilities in all living beings around you. And he's saying it's pretty amazing what can happen in a few months if we engage with that level of consciousness, that level of awareness, and that level of celebration and acknowledgement and witnessing of ourselves and others. How much more abundant and heartful we will feel. And just to conclude, really, we're moving toward that manifesting of our wisdom as we shift our awareness toward unconditional abundance, so that we observe how life functions rather than how money functions or the economy functions or whatever we've invented as humans functions. We're going to go back to the source. We're going to observe how life itself operates. And as we sync up with all of that, we'll find out what it means to actually live and to express from the mud to the lotus, to express that process. And he's saying it's not about how old we are, it's the fact that we're here today. And so life is happening here today. Namaste. Blessings.